Hello. Lady Rose spot for tonight. In this video is used under US 107 for purposes news reporting and education, adding commentary and a lot of pleasantries. Hello, living from Kashara's kitchen. Thanks for joining me. Some lot of engagement. Last episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville. Background. That's crazy. Lord. Let me help. We'll just remove all of it. Is that better? Oh, the sound. I don't know what to do about this. It looks like Fi's working. I have all bars. Does the sound still distorted? I usually am upstairs in my office. So I came down. It's still bad. And then I'll come back in. Give me a second. Okay, is that any better? Let me know if it's any better, please. I'll wait for you to tell me if it's better. Still worse. Much better. Okay, good. So a quick reset did all that. So I took me some notes on some paper. This week's been really super busy. This past weekend, I had a lot going on, and this coming up week is going to be a full week for me. But I'm gonna make it through, and so are you guys. Thanks for being here. Let's get started on the episode. So the episode begins with Nell going over to Lance's house, and as she entered the driveway, she started complaining about the yard. I mean, the moment she got there, oh, the yard is bad. Hello, Alicia. Thanks for joining. Thanks for even sitting in the bushes. She goes, oh, the yard needs to be cleaned up, and she went on and on and on. And she was carrying a purse, and then she had a bag that had like some snacks or whatever in it. And when she walked in, she's picking up a bottle of medication off of the countertop, and she asked Lance, what are you going through? And Lance says, that's Excedrin. I ain't going through anything except a headache every now and then. I thought that was kind of strange. And then one of the other things I found was when she was saying that Lance is a single dad, and she was checking in on him mentally and physically. So I think last night kind of added more questions, watching her on Carlos's live, added more questions to the Lance being a single dad situation. What else is going on in Lance's life? She said Lance has 3 children. He has 3 kids. But he said this time that everything is on him. he moved back home with his parents when the baby was born. And Nell was expressing concerns. She asked him, would it be better if she took the baby 2 days on, which gave him 2 days off? And he said he didn't want to interrupt the baby's routine schedule. And so she said, well, how about if I came here and I stayed with you for 2 days a week? And he said, oh, well, I would like that. But I think you would need to run that past dad. And Nell said, we've gone through infidelity, finances. This is small. And she said, Chris will be fine and we can't get through this. And I thought that was kind of, I could see a mother stepping in to help. I can't see that. And as mothers, we will go to great extents and lengths to help our children. So I can see her doing that. But I wonder how much of it is concern and how much of it is controlling. And I just put that in my notes. I really feel like there was a lot of questions that production made it seem as though we already knew. Like they made it seem as though this was already a scene or a part of the background that we didn't need to know what the background was. The fact that Lance has 3 children, we don't know anything else about Lance. Like how many times was he married? Was he married? Was this baby by his wife? Yada yada yada, and we don't know any of that. Which I found was strange because you shouldn't throw a storyline out there at us without setting the stage for the background for us to figure out like what's going on. There's too many missing pieces to this puzzle. Lance, although he possibly is a single father, Lance has this with this child. There's something different between this one than the other. Last night on the Carlos King show, on his podcast, Nell mentioned that Lance had been married twice, which was something that should have been addressed in publication on the show. She also mentioned that Lance was in a court battle with this particular baby, which makes it makes things make a little more sense, right? As to why he moved back home. She also said that she was on the safety plan with Lance, which made it a lot more confusing when she said that. I'll put that way. It made a lot more confusing. Now you're adding safety plan, which we know safety plans are done by CPS. And then you mentioned he had to move back home with you because you were on the safety plan, which makes it seem as though Lance had to be monitored. The reason why he moved back in with you. There's just too many missing pieces to this Lance and this baby story that just to me just kind of was weird. Nell said that Destiny reached out to her and that Destiny told her, you could have, told me about the baby. And which I found kind of ironic because the more Nell talked, Nell made it seem as though she knew about the baby. But last week, Nell told us that she didn't know anything about the baby. They found out when they were at reunion, in which I thought was kind of weird. And then she said Destiny was flirting with her godson, Twan, so she didn't really know how to operate. So Lance goes and he gets a confessional and he says, and they replace some of the reunion. Lance says he owes Destiny a conversation. He says if the shoe was on the other foot, I would want a conversation. But I feel like that is where this probably needs to be broken down a little bit, and the conversation needs to be had around this group because the conversation should have already been had. I don't know of anybody who dates just to be dating, right? Normally you date. Exactly, Alicia. You thought it was weird too. I thought it was kind of weird because normally things you date, correct things to make you go, hey, Shayna, welcome to the live. Normally you date as a progression to something, right? You're not just dating just to be dating. You're normally dating hoping that it moves further and further down the road and wherever it takes you to. But if you're dating someone and you're just dating just to be doing something, to me, that just distorts the whole situation. Now, Lance felt like that they really, I guess, didn't have anything. I'm not sure if Destiny felt that way, but I do feel like if you were dating her, you definitely owe her a conversation. You definitely owe her to let her know what was going on. You should have told her that, hey, while we out here dating, this girl is pregnant and a baby, I could be having a baby sometime, another, whatever, right? I just feel like it should have been said and it wasn't said. So I think that Lance dropped the ball because, again, he was the one that had someone pregnant, not the other way around. And we're not going to make it seem like Destiny's this streetwalker just because she was dating Lance. We have heard Destiny say over and over that she is celibate, and that could be why Lance ran and got someone pregnant. I don't know. I don't know the story. I don't know what's going on, but I do know there's a lot of holes, there's a lot of gaps, and Destiny is owed a conversation. Maybe not an apology, but definitely a conversation. The next scene is the ladies meeting up at a boutique. The boutique was called Elite Air Boutique. And Kimmy asked Tisha, why are we here? And she goes, well, I thought everybody could use a little bit of retail therapy. It was a cute little boutique. I enjoyed the scene. And the ladies just standing around talking. Tisha's already there when the scene opens up. Kimmy soon joins. They're doing a little bit of gossiping. And then Destiny walks in. Destiny talks about her TikTok live. And then I put in my thing that Destiny's confessional look was very interesting. Anybody? You said it was living for me. Only you would notice that. It was a cute little quaint place. Very small. I actually enjoy little boutiques that are small that have rare items. But as they show in here, it looks like a bunch of blouses and shirts, not very much else. But yeah, Destiny's little outfit in the confessional just kind of, I don't know. This out what this I don't know. Destiny, what is this? It's a cute cat suit. I don't know. I want to know who the designer is and what was their actual premise behind that. But she's making a trend. I guess you gotta have a body to wear a cat suit now. I done seen some people in some cat suits that shouldn't be in a cat suit. I ain't gonna put one on. How about that? I'm not gonna put one on, but I did. I'm gonna look at that one more time. It's I think the cat suit is cute. This part, that cross, is the only thing that kind of threw me off when it came to the cat suit. Kimmy suggested that they all started hanging out more, which Kimmy's been saying that over and over and over. And they all talked about Nell and Tisha's altercation on the last episode. And Tisha says she had no idea what Nell was referring to when she says they're not being transparent. And then Tisha goes into the confessional and says maybe Nell should lead by example and tell all the tea on her and Chris and be transparent about that. And I thought, man, Letitia Scott is really, she's holding her own this season. I really love to see it. I love the very fact that she's not letting them run over her. She's not being anybody's doormat. She's just coming back. But I'm gonna get Tisha a little bit on further down the road. I like Tisha, but we gonna get Tisha. Tisha gonna have to get in line too. It's better. Yeah, I think so. I agree with you on that. I think it was better than the leopard print. But that look, I don't know. I like a cat suit. I just don't know about that particular one. But to each his own and to everybody else the same. Destiny mentions Kimmy verified. They start talking, they go back to the conversation. They mention about the NDA and uh Tisha said, well, she said I was up in Chris's face. And Kimmy said she was up in Chris's face. And Kimmy was there. We wasn't. So I believe that. She verified that it actually happened. Destiny mentions Martell and Letitia walks off. And I think that's probably for the best. If you're going to take a stance and say, I'm not going to deal with X, Y, and Z, you have to be ready not to deal with X, Y, and Z and keep on pushing. And so when she just moved around and she just walked off, she goes, is this going to happen every time we mention someone that you don't like? And she said, Kimmy says probably, which I think that was funny. Kimmy again says she spoke with Chris and Nell, and they were equally as surprised by the baby because they start talking about Lance having a child. So we go back to the very fact that Lance has his baby. His mama's daddy said they're surprised, but in the same thing, Nell says, that she couldn't have told Destiny about it when Destiny called her. But at some point or another, she did know about it, and it would have been nice for her to talk about it, and she did. She did discuss it with Destiny, which I think is, as friends, that should have been something that they should have discussed. The next scene is Latricia and Nell at I guess a bar. I'm not sure what that is, a lounge maybe. I thought this was a scene more like last week where we're setting up to kind of put a divide and team this and team that, which I don't, I mentioned before about how when Real Housewives of Atlanta went to the smalls and the talls, I didn't like it. I really feel like this is kind of what this is going to the very fact of these two against Kimmy and Letitia. And I don't know where it's going to head, but I do know that I don't particularly like the very fact that they want to separate themselves and be allies versus the other two. When there's an issue like that, the old folks be like, Mom, exactly, mama's baby, daddy's maybe. I agree with that. But in the interim, Nell also said that, he had been messing with the girl for 5 years. So it was a high probability that it was his child. And apparently it is, as it is. He's taking care of the baby. He's getting up in the middle of the night. Nell is volunteering to go over and be with the baby while he works or so he can get a good night's sleep so he can't go to work. So apparently it is his child. Nell and Trish meet up. Nell says that she wanted to ride the bull. Trisha says she did too, but they couldn't find the attendant. And then she said, Trisha said, I ride a bull all the time. And she goes, no, I'm kidding. She said, first she said Ken, and then she goes, no, I'm kidding. And then Nell says, that's a lot of GD bull. So they mentioned about double dating her and Chris and Trisha and Ken. They're all going out for a double date. They agree that they should do that. Trisha invites Nell out. They talk about the altercation between Nell and Tisha. And Nell says that Tisha had big D energy. She said, I guess she learned that from Destiny. This little picking at Destiny and Tisha is, it just, to me, it's weird. Even last night on the podcast with Carlos, I noticed how Nell kind of picks at Destiny. And to me, I think that gives weird energy, not big D energy, but weird energy. Because anybody could wear a label, right? So why would you try to put a label on someone that you claim to not really know, but be building a relationship, which will be Destiny and Letitia. And she said, oh, that's what I wanted to point out, the very fact that Nell says that Letitia was giving out big D energy. And she said, I guess she loaned it from Destiny, but I believe she meant borrowed, but she used the old country wording loaned. Um, she said Nell said that Tisha did the most. And I put in my quotations, how about leave Tisha alone? How about that? Because you keep starting with Tisha, then when Letitia starts with you, then it just goes back and forth. As a seasoned adult, I would think that Nell would learn how to deaden situations instead of moving them forward. Um, Nell says, but she's not having it. This ain't what she want. Trish screams out, as you should not. This is as you should not, as you should not. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, are you drawing a line in the sand, Trisha? Are you deciding that you now are going to side with Nell and Tisha is not gonna? I don't know what's going on here, but I think these double duo here, I don't think it's gonna work because as Nell goes on and on about Letitia, Trisha also says, I don't see that in Letitia. I don't get that from Letitia. Letitia's not like that. And Nell didn't like that at all. She didn't like the very fact that she kept telling her that Letitia wasn't like that. She I think she felt like she knew Letitia well enough to say that yes, she is like that. Tisha said, but when you say something about Letitia, I don't know what you're talking about. And she said, then Trisha says, your whole, oh, she was given a description, I'm sorry, about Letitia. And then Trisha says, your whole description is perfect. And I was like, girl, what? So she gave a description of the way Letitia behaved. And that's why I was like, is Letitia like putting a whole, this is going to be the line in the sand, and this is going to be where I decide I'm going to be on this side with Nell and not on the side with Letitia and Kimmy, which it should be anybody's side. They should be able to get along as cohesive adults. Nell goes back to last season when Tisha says that she was feisty, and Nell likes to get up in people's faces. And all of that's true. We saw Nell last year when they went on the girls' trip, how she was, getting up in their faces, and she's very feisty. We saw her talking about she was mentoring these people that she just apparently got into a friend group with. And then Nell says, don't judge me, but you're judging. So you don't want anybody to judge you. So I think there's something, how you just meet people and you just don't like them. I believe that's the issue with Letitia and Nell. I think that there's just something about neither one of them that they don't like about each other. And Nell goes, she's the one all up in my husband's face. She was the one with her finger all up in my husband's face. And it made me feel some type of way. She was doing too much and she crossed the line. And I put in quotation, Nell is feisty. Because she has done that over and over and over. So we can't just blame it on Letitia. Because if we say feisty, we could add in a whole group of people. But we do know that Nell is feisty. She can be a little pistol starter. In Trisha's confession, she said, I don't get that from Letitia. She said, I really think that they need to have a heart-to-heart talk, which I believe is true. I believe that they do need to have a heart-to-heart talk. The next scene is Kimmy and Jaylen. Jaylen goes to Kimmy's office. Kimmy said he doesn't come by quite often, but I thought it was a cute little scene between mother and son. And when she comes in, of course, Kimmy's on the phone. She's talking to Destiny, and they're talking about office space, so on and so forth. And Jaylen says he comes by to tell Kimmy that he had received a lucrative job offer in Huntsville in logistics. He said that putting black on his resume was a big plus. And Kimmy says, he talked about how the fact that it was started from the ground up and how he kind of helped develop it, that they really liked that, and that actually sold them on hiring him for the position. He also gave the other details about them calling when he got home, and he counter offered them for, I guess, salary rather. And they did, I guess, meet his salary demands. He then Kimmy kind of talks about letting Maurice and Maurice Jr. do a project, and then Kimmy and Jaylen do a project together. And then Jaylen says the conversation, they go over to that's a segue, I guess, over to the conversation about Maurice. And he says the conversation he had with Maurice, he said he just feels like Maurice just does not get it. And Kimmy says Maurice has a hard time accepting his part in any situation. And Jaylen says he sounds like a little deflecting to him. Um, and Kimmy says that when they have conversations, when her and Maurice have conversations, it's the exact same way. I cannot imagine having a conversation with someone who never owns their part. Like that makes the conversation hard. Because if I'm telling you how I feel, you're telling me how you feel, and we're actually going back and forth, the conversation should be moving towards something positive where we can have some type of resolve. But if I'm telling you something and you're deflecting or not owning your part, there will never be any resolve. If you're in the comments in the live, please like the thumbs up the video if you don't mind. I would greatly appreciate it. Jaylen says, just like he had said before, he felt like Maurice was a mentor and that, being with him as a father was a mentorship. He also says that he didn't know what it felt like to have a fatherhood. So maybe it was fatherhood to Maurice because he had never had a father. So I guess Jaylen's dad was not instrumental in his upbringing. I'm not sure. But he did mention that he didn't have fatherhood. So maybe to Maurice, this was fatherhood to him. And Kimmy says it appears as though some of Maurice's tough love paid off because Jaylen, in the building of Jaylen, because Jaylen is a good young man. That doesn't mean that some things could have been a little different. And again, I side-eye Kimmy because things could have been a little different if you had made it different. This is your son. Maurice is your husband. He was the stepdad to your son. You have to set the ground on what you want for your son. Although sometimes, you do want a man to step in and help raise your son. But when your son, you feel like is not being treated fairly, I think that's the time that you step up and you say something and you do something. You just don't sit around and just ignore it. And then Kimmy said, some things could have been a little different then, a little different now, and a little different going forward. But Kimmy said overall she was really proud of Jaylen. Y'all, I thought this look on Kimmy was really, really pretty. Kimmy's a beautiful girl anyway, but I thought this look on her, the colors, the skin, her skin, the hair, just beautiful. The Van Cleef necklace, I thought it was a beautiful look. But I also, again, I believe that as parents, or as mothers, when you get with the stepdad, sometimes you have to set the stage on what you will allow for your kids. I want this for my son, or I want that for my son, but you have to be honest and open about those situations and how you want your son to be parented. And I just think that's fair. The next scene is Chris going to Green Spaces Home Improvement, which is Lance's business. And I want to rewind it back to Lance a little bit. Let me get some water, y'all. Lance's mom said he's been a homeowner for the last 10 years. We did go to Lance's home. It looks like he has a very nice home. So apparently Lance's business is pretty decent. I actually looked it up last night, just to Green Spaces, to just kind of look at the reviews, see what they did. And they have some really beautiful, he's done some really nice work, some improvements on some kitchens, some renovations, the remodeling on bathrooms. So really, really nice work. And he's owned his business since 2021. So I applaud him. I don't know how old he is. He can't be too old. But I would probably guess late 30s, um, mid 30s, maybe, probably mid 30s, early 30s. I'm not sure how old he is, but seeing the very fact that we have young African American men out here doing a darn thing, I think they should be applauded and they should be seen. So seeing Chris in his element of his business, I really enjoyed that. We got a little quick okay. He did a great job if he did Stormy's bathroom setup for her lives. Cause when I tell you, I went through his website and just kind of flipped through the pictures he had, and he did a bathroom remodel that was absolutely gorgeous with marble and all that fun stuff. And then I saw a kitchen remodel on there that was absolutely beautiful. So I really am glad they're bringing out the very fact that we have a young African American man who owns his own home and owns his own business. Unfortunately, he's single and has 3 children. But good luck. The next scene is Chris and Lance. Chris goes to Lance's business, as I said, Green Spaces, Home Improvement, I believe is the name of it. And they talk about the baby and Nell staying with Lance for 2 days out of a week. And Lance mentions it to Chris. And of course, Chris, the typical man, says, yeah, he has a problem with it. And fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know a man who probably wouldn't have a problem with their wife being gone 2 days a week, staying at their son's house, babysitting. It probably would have been better off if the baby could come to them. But either way, most men, they want their wives to themselves. Most men are a little selfish, just a little bit. And I'm just being honest. Most men are a little selfish. I have a husband. They can tend to be a little selfish sometimes when it comes to time. Chris says that getting up in the middle of the night, no, he says they get thrown in all. Let me start over. He says they get thrown in the middle of all their children's problems. Everything is going on. Him and Nell get thrown in the middle of it. And he said, we set boundaries last year or whenever they filmed the last season. And he asked his son, he's like, how those boundaries going? And he was like, they're non-existent. There's no boundaries. Which lets me know that they just did it for a scene on the TV show, because you set boundaries. That means you enforce those boundaries and they comply. Not they decide how they're going to do the boundaries. You set the boundaries, you enforce them, they do what you have them do when it comes to the boundaries. Chris said out of all of them, he could speak this honestly, that Kayla is the only one who hasn't crossed the boundaries. It seems like the boys, is what I said, have messed up the boundaries. That's just the way it seemed like with just listening to Chris talk. And they talk about how having a baby in the house, and Chris said they haven't had a baby, an infant, in 28 years, and then all of a sudden they're thrown in the middle of having a baby in the house, which can be a lot because babies get up in the middle of the night. They can be fussy. They could be, the littlest thing can make an infant not want to go to bed or want to get up. A lot of things can go on. So I can only imagine when not having a baby in so long, then all of a sudden it's a baby in my house and I've got to get up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Can be a lot. And then in the interim of their conversation, it ended up with Chris telling Lance that he feels like he should speak to someone and maybe get a different perspective of how to be a father and use time management wisely. So he suggested that Lance go speak with Martell. He said because as a father, Martell has this time management thing down. And he's also in construction. So I think that may be a good thing as well. It could give Martell some filming time, because as we see, Martell was not in this episode either. We didn't see him in this episode, so they could give him some filming time. And I posted this. I thought this suit looked really good. I love a well-tailored suit. I love a gentleman who can dress really nice. I have my brother, oldest brother, he could wear a suit. Oh my Lord. And this suit right here is absolutely gorgeous. That lime green shirt just sets the whole thing off. I just really thought that was cute. I really thought that was cute. Um, so I just wanted to talk about that. The next scene was, oh Lord, are we ready for this one? The next scene was Letitia Scott coming in and to see Nell. And I thought Letitia's hair was so pretty in this. She's a beautiful girl anyway. That dress was body yaddy on her. Looked perfect. That brown leather. And oh yeah, Chris stays fly. Chris stays fly. He is a dresser and he keeps himself looking good. But Letitia's hair, I loved her hair. This scene to me was a really, really beautiful scene with Letitia. I think that I don't know. Tisha just this one, she just got it right. I don't know what else to say about it. She just got it right when she was sitting there talking to when she came in to talk to old Nell. I think that she just got it right. That dress is really pretty, and Tisha looks really beautiful. Um, they meet up at Tisha and Letitia and Nell meet up at PJ's Coffee, and I don't know about other places. We have a lot of PJs around here. And I said Tisha's hair and makeup was perfect. That leather brown dress was pleasing to her body because she looked really, really nice, really beautiful. And Nell looks like she may have like just got up from cleaning and wrapped her wig up and a little tie came on. But yeah, I already told my that you talking about the brown color, because that to me, girl, that this wig right here, if that's a wig, it is beautiful. It is. Tisha looked absolutely pretty on that in this scene. Um, Tisha was very pleasant when she arrived. She spoke to Nell. She sat down. So I won't say that Tisha was already on. Excuse me, that she was already on 10 because I didn't see that. Oh, the Auburn, yeah. But she definitely was pleasant. She spoke, she sat down to engage with Nell. Nell mentions Tisha getting up in Chris' face. First thing, that's pretty much the first thing she comes out of her mouth. And Tisha nodded as Nell was speaking. She let her finish. And if anybody watched it, you can attest to this. She let her finish the conversation. While Nell was talking, Tisha seemed to be engaging with her in the conversation. Nell said, Tisha, you went from, Nell said Tisha was on 100. Tisha responds and said, I don't remember being on 100. And as we look back, Tisha was on 100. I'm sure Tisha had a little bit of libations and, things kind of can be a little different if you are inebriated. And Tisha, she was, I don't remember being on 100. Nell said she felt like she was. Tisha agreed, that's fine. You're entitled to your feelings. And then Tisha became automatically defensive. She did. She just got defensive from that point on. Second, she said, this is the second time that Chris has said something about Marcel. And this is kind of where Tisha lost me. Nell said, when was the first time? Tisha said, it was the Atlanta situation. Nell said, here we go again about this Atlanta. And Nell does a lot of cussing, so I'll just say Atlanta stuff. Marcel brought up Chris first, is what Nell says. And I put all this mess is annoying. It's annoying. To me, it is annoying that these two are not getting along because what they're fighting over is trivial. It just is. If you look at it, it's really not that big of a deal. You have Nell saying that Tisha called her feisty and that Tisha says she gets up in people's face, which I feel like Nell is holding that over Letitia's head. So anything that Letitia does is always going to set uh, Nell off. At least that's how I feel. Marcel wasn't forthcoming about the ATL situation, is what Nell says. Nell did raise her voice. She did raise her voice. And that is the reason why Letitia decided to get up. But I think Nell raising her voice was in frustration because Letitia could not convey what she was trying to say. She could not say, oh lordy, y'all give me 1 second. I'm gonna have to go run and get my plug. Okay, y'all, I'm back. I had plugged my phone into my computer and said we had 19%. We had 50 something percent before I got down here. Now, like I said, I think she raised her voice out of frustration. You know, when you feel like you're being gaslit, you kind of get upset. Yeah, I think she was. I think she was trying to keep her cool. And Tisha was just, but. And I also believe Tisha said something that really made me understand why Tisha did not want to remain at the coffee shop. And I put in my notes, excuse me, that Letitia was literally backtracking after she replayed that Atlanta stuff in her head. You could almost see her as Nell is talking about it, like reeling it back in almost like, oh yeah, you're right. Because again, to me, it was trivial. Nell feels like Tisha was gaslighting her, but she did raise her voice. Like I said, and I think it was out of frustration. Nell pulled a Tisha and answered a question with a question. Because Tisha, do you want to have a conversation or not? And she goes, do you want to have a conversation? Tisha just did the exact same thing to her when she asked her about the issue about Martell. She asked her, well, what do you think about it? So she answered the question with a question. And oh Jesus, Tisha said she needed some tequila for this conversation, and then Tisha left. She said she didn't want to be embarrassed, and I understand that because Letitia said that her kids, some of the parents of, I guess, people that are with her children, come to that spot, and she didn't want to be embarrassed by the very fact that they were in there arguing, because we know people can be catty and run around saying things that may not necessarily be true. And then we also know that people are always waiting for an opportunity to record these people because they just like to do that to them. They look for those moments to record the whole crew and talk about what they've done. But yeah, I think that this was a good episode. I think that there is a lot of conversations that we seem to be missing. One being the Lance situation and the Lance and the baby mama. I really feel like there's so much more to this situation than what we really know. It would be nice to actually um, hear it, hear what's going on, hear what the reason why Lance has the baby, why were they on a safety plan, so on and so forth. I said I was going to dig around and see if I could find out some information as to why there is a safety plan. But again, I just haven't. But I really think that there definitely there definitely is a reason why there's a safety plan involved. And also, like I said before, safety plans are usually done by CPS. That's who gives you a safety plan. And normally, if the safety plan is in place and you have to be in a home with someone, is because you have to be supervised with the child, not any other reason, but that reason you have to be supervised with the child. Um, I'm gonna move the goal just a little bit. In the state of Texas, y'all know I love the state of Texas, deep in the heart of Texas. In the state of Texas, we got some stuff going on right now with our representatives leaving the state because Texas is trying to redistrict and we're trying to keep them from gerrymandering. And I want you just to see what Dr. Candace Matthews, who actually represent a lot. She speaks the voice for a lot of us in Texas, and she always. I don't always agree with her, but on this one, I do agree with her. I'm just gonna play her TikTok from today. She did on TikTok, Instagram, it's all over. This is Dr. Candace Matthews, and if you live in Texas, you know all about her. From the Rio Grande to the tippy toppy of the Panhandle, you know all about Dr. Candace Matthews.
Good morning, everybody. It's your good old buddy, Dr. Matthews here. So I just want to circle the block back about State Rep Nicole Collier, right? So I had people call me and they was like, Dr. Matthews, like y'all can't go and help her. She ain't gonna do it again. All that. Man, look, let me tell y'all something. It wouldn't take me nothing to make a call to Brother Cornell real quick, and I would request and activate every last one of these Black Panthers in every state, and we would surround that capital. It wouldn't take me nothing to get in touch with all the street niggas that we cool with. And like I did before, we'll surround that capital with slabs and everything. It wouldn't take me nothing to get every black person in the state of Texas to surround that capital because I've done it before. But you know what? Why we fighting for her when she ain't fighting for us? She brought her ass back. You let that bully handicapped person do this to you. And then you sit up here and let the Speaker of the House, who you voted for, did this to you. And we supposed to help your ass. We ain't helping her ass. We not doing none of that. We ain't doing none of that because we ain't helping nobody that's weak and not fighting for us. Now see, if they would have did that to Ron Reynolds or the ones that's out, oh yeah, we activating everybody. But now, this ain't nothing but political theater, honey. To try to save face. We see through that game and we ain't hearing it.
Ain't here.
So go get yourself together and clean that cat and get that whole bath together, sis. Because you gonna be in there messing with them white folk.
I love, I love Dr. Candace Matthews. She said just like it is. She don't beat around the bush, honey. If you do anything crooked, and she coming for you in the state of Texas, she coming and she bringing up people with her. I'm going to show you a picture of Nicole Collier, honey. This morning she put on her good little stunt. She done now. They've been out of the state. What she come back for? They've been out of the state. She came back. If you look over to your left hand corner, is suitcases. I know y'all see them suitcases because I see them suitcases over there. She comes in. She has a book that says African founders, and it talks about slavery. And she got her eye patches, a blanket, and some pillows. And it looks like that's a robe thrown up there. And she's taking her picture, and they say they got her locked in the Capitol because she refused to sign a permission slip to let state troopers sit outside the house and watch her and make sure she didn't leave again. But what you come back for? What you come back for, baby? Don't stay in that Capitol. You rest well tonight. Hopefully you brought some wipes and stuff that you can clean yourself up. Cause baby, we don't care. We don't care. You had no business coming back here. You had no business coming back here. Nicole Collier, I want to say her district is north of Dallas. I want to say she may be part of Dallas because I've seen. Let me see where she's located. But girl, the whole band, yeah, she said, you gonna get in there clean it. You get it cleaned up because exactly what's going on. Let me see what area Nicole Collier represents. She she represents Fort Worth. Mm. I was like, I've seen her. Oh, I know where I've seen her office at off of 20 and Hewlin. So yeah, she represents Fort Worth. So girl, girl, gonna take you a nap. Ain't nobody. You should have stayed gone. Your constituents need you more than anybody. You should have stayed out the state. But see, this is what they were banking on. The 30 days that they have to do the special sessions. Then you run back over here, and because you got to go to work. But they have a fund that they've created so you wouldn't have to run back over here. But child, yes, honey, Miss Candace, Dr. Matthews, she's gonna have the nails done. Always. Her nails are always glittery, flashy. She's gonna have a cowboy hat on. It's gonna be flashy. She's gonna have everything on her is gonna be flashy. Nails, everything. But she really fights for Texans. I really love the fact that she fights for it. Because I was listening to them on Dunn Lemons podcast today. They have the marshals. Yes, there is a lady who I want to say she's 90-something years old. Her son is a representative. She lives in Port Arthur, Texas. They literally have a a state trooper parked in front of her house. He wouldn't talk to the news media. She's, I don't know why they're here. The little lady sitting on the porch is rocking back and forth. She can't go nowhere. The son is deaf. He's not coming there. But they're watching her house so that when the son gets there, these people ain't coming back there. And I just want to know, where's the solidarity? Nicole should have stayed gone. She came back. And I'm telling you, I donated to the fund so these people would not return. So they would have money to be able to stay and enjoy their time away while they represented us. And you decided to come home. You decided to come back home for whatever reason. And now they got you locked in the Capitol. Baby, good night. Rest well. Hopefully you got a TV and plenty of chargers, maybe your laptop, a good cell phone, and maybe a ham radio that you can wind up and you can listen to what's going on outside. Because baby, you tripping. You are tripping. Yeah, I'm going to do a review of Love and Faith Atlanta. I don't know if they've had the last episode or not, but I am going to do that and get it out. I want to get this Love and Marriage Huntsville out because I really enjoyed this episode. I think that there was a lot, again, like I said, that I had a lot of questions about. One being Lance's baby. The second one being that I feel like Larnell and Lernial and Letitia Scott, their entire situation, I think, is trivial. And I think it's something that could be resolved, but they've got to do the work to resolve it. And I hope before the season ends that they do the work. The very fact that Lance says he does owe Destiny a conversation, I totally agree with that. And I hope the conversation happens and that they get everything they need to talk about resolved. And I think we will see a conversation later on. Lance speaking with Martell about time management, watching your children. I'm really hoping that Martell gives him sound advice, not just fluff, but really sound advice. You said even that, yeah. Um, with the ATL situation, Marsal, Chris, there's not going to be a resolve there, right? I really feel like Marsal, exactly, I agree. That conversation should have been last year. I really feel like Marsal, in his willingness to be sarcastic and catty, I believe that he actually didn't give Tisha the resolve that she needed when it came to the ATL situation. Let's see what you're saying. That for me says that conversation should have been last year, and I agree. Last year they all should have sat around and did it when they, because I believe Nell and Chris and Letitia and Marsal went out to lunch, and I believe at that moment they should have sat down and discussed that Atlanta situation, because that should have been resolved. That should have never carried over. Now the feisty and you being up in people's face, does Nell really have a reason? No, because we all saw Nell show her butt when they went to, where did they go? Puerto Rico, wherever they went on the island. We all saw her show her tail. So I really feel like Tisha didn't tell a lie. She called you feisty, but you acted really feisty. But there has to be some type of resolve. And as far as Latricia goes, I think Latricia should stay neutral. She needs to stop meeting with Nell to talk about Letitia, because that is only going to start drama among them. And then Letitia's not gonna, she's gonna have it out with Trisha, and Trisha gonna be sitting there with, mumbling like she normally do. So I don't know. I don't know about that. I've been waiting on your review of Love and Faith ATL. I see Larry Reed did the reunion. I don't want to watch it till I see you. Okay. I'm gonna actually get on. I'm gonna watch it tonight and make some notes. And I may come back tonight or first thing in the morning. If I say first thing, it'll probably be like 6 a.m. because 7 o'clock I gotta be at that door, headed to see my little people. But I might be able to squeeze in alive in the morning, because the rest of this week I'll be attending funerals of family members. So I'm definitely going to try to get it done, the notes and everything done for tonight, so we can talk about it. I hope that you guys enjoyed this live. I hope that I got a little one running around sniffing. I don't know if you can hear, but pray for these babies, honey. I don't know what's in the air, if it's allergies or what, because the other day I ended up on Saturday, we were outside having a party and my eye swole from allergies. So I'm not sure what it is. Definitely don't have, no, not sure it is. Thank you, Queen Scrap. I really appreciate it. Keep us in prayer. My little cousin that we will be burying on Thursday was only 38 years old and just had a sudden death. So just pray for her mom and her dad, and just pray for our family, because this one is going to be a tough one. You always have that one who loves everybody, and this was one of those who she called me auntie. I could be driving down the street and I get a text message go across my phone, say I love you. And I'm going to miss those things. I'm going to miss those little nuggets I would get throughout the day, or her calling me just to ask me something silly about things that don't even matter. Girl, no, I do have the time. And I'm gonna get it done. Only thing I'm gonna do tonight, other than do that, is watch my cousins that are driving here from Phoenix to make sure they get here safely. Two of my female cousins are driving by themselves, and they left home this morning. It's like, we've never driven this far by ourselves. And I said, you can do it. I've done it. I've driven to you guys by myself. So I know you can, with just me and my kids. But I know you can do it. So we've been sharing locations for years. So I've been mapping her the whole way here. Thank God for iPhones that we can kind of see each other as we move around. So just send up some prayers for us. We're going to be okay. This is just another one of those things in life that we have to go through. Hey, Queen Script, thank you for joining us. I am done with the, thank you, Kashara. I am done with the, and thank you, Living for Me. I didn't mean to go over anybody. I'm just doing way too much tonight. But again, just keep us in your prayers. And this weekend, I will be traveling as well to go I'll be with my cousins. I'm going to get in the car and we're going to follow each other to another state to eulogize another cousin who we love. It will be their uncle, but my cousin. And I'm going to tell you something. Life is so short. It is so short, but just when you look back on the good things, I had to tell my best friend last night, we were just yapping on the phone and, just talk about how life is. And my best friend lost their mother when they were 29, 30, somewhere in there, because we're the same age. And I lost my mom last year, and their mother was a lot younger than my mom. And I was saying, when you watch that casket close on the person who gave you life and the person who would lay down their life for you, nothing in life can hurt you any more than that, because that's a hurt that is not explainable, that you can't explain. And I mean that with all of my soul. Losing my mom was one of the most hardest things ever. Losing my dad was hard because I was a young girl, 23. But losing my mom was detrimental. It was. Because as a kid, I thought, oh, this lady's mean. She hates me. But as I got grown and got my own place, my mom was like my best friend. She was that girl I could call. She would tell even my older brothers and sisters, mind your business. That's between me and her. If mama, what's going on with so and so? She like, that's between me and her. Don't you worry about it. You mind your business. And I realized that this lady, she was indeed my best friend. My mom trusted me when she didn't trust him. I'm the youngest of several siblings. My mom trusted me. I remember when she first got sick and I had to go into her purse. My mom was a tough mama. You can go in her purse. If it was something you needed, you brought the purse. She go in it. She give you what you need. And I had to go in her purse to get her insurance information out. And I was like, oh, she gonna get me. I'm thinking to myself, oh, she gonna get me by going in this purse. And she looked at me and she said, you can go in it. And I realized how our relationship had built over the years. Whereas we took a car from my mom in 2017, 2018. She went and bought her a brand new car. Me and my brothers and sisters sat down and we decided, okay, it's time for her to stop driving. We tried to talk to her. She didn't want to listen. We took the car. She went and bought a brand new car. So I went over and I was like, give me the key, give me the spare key in case. She said, I'm not giving you anything. When mama got sick, we were at the hospital. She reached in her purse. She had this, it was in a Ziploc, a real thick Ziploc. And she handed it to me. And I was like, what's this? And she said, the spare key to my car. And that's when I realized how much she trusted me. So much she would tell her, don't worry about it. I get her to do it. She'll do it. Don't worry about it. She'll do it. So again, when you lay your mama to rest, I don't think there's a hurt they can compare. I'm smiling today, but tomorrow I may be a wreck when I think about my mom. I may go upstairs in a few minutes and lay on the floor and just bawl my eyes out. But when you close that casket on the woman who brought you life and you loved her unconditionally because she loved you unconditionally, it's a different type of love. I didn't mean to go there tonight. I want to end on a good and a pleasant note. But again, I want you guys to keep my family in prayer. If you pray and you believe in the true and the living God, that Jesus died on the cross and was, went into the grave in 3 days, he rose again and he's coming back to take us. That's the God I want you to pray to for me. Don't just pray to anybody, God. Pray to that God for me, the one that the Bible talks about. Because at the end of the day, we're going to need a lot of prayer to make it through this week. It's going to be a tough one. 2 funerals in a week that's a tough booger. Hey, Butterfly, thanks for joining. Yeah, it's a tough one. But when I tell you, I've been going through this week kind of like, just kind of dreading. And the week seemed like the more I'm dreading it, the faster it's going. But again, I know that we will be okay. This is just life. Life goes in a circle. It goes full circle. The private school my kids went to, my youngest grandson, who just turned 1, just started. And when my daughter dropped him off, the teacher, the owner, who used to be my pastor, and his wife, she said, life goes in a full circle. We took care of you, and now we're taking care of your baby. So that's just how I look at it. Life goes full circle. It's just a circle of life. And unless Jesus hits the cloud and comes back and gets us, we all are going to go by way of the grave. And that's just the way I look at it. And sometimes that can be kind of, doom and gloom, but that's reality. It's real, and it's a harsh reality. It's a hard reality, but we have to be realistic in life so that we can love each other. And maybe if we think about life just like that and how short it is, because I'm gonna tell you, my mom lived to be 89 years old. She had me late in life, but that's just 89 birthdays. That's just 89 Christmases. That's not a whole lot when you think about it, right? That's not a whole lot when you think about it. You got people that live to be 50, 51. That's 50 birthdays, 50 Christmases, 50 Thanksgivings. That's not a whole lot when you think about it. It's not a whole lot. Anywho, I've said far enough. And I hope you guys have a great night. I'm going to get that live together for Love and Faith Atlanta. And I'm going to probably be back, if not late tonight, in the morning. Y'all have a great night. Thanks, Butterfly. Thanks, Kashara. Thank you, Queen Script. Thank you, Alicia. Thank you, Shanna. Thank you, Living for Me. I appreciate you guys. You just don't know. I wanted to start a YouTube, and I just didn't know how, and I was afraid I just wouldn't do good, and I wouldn't know what to say, and things just come naturally sometimes. So y'all have a great night. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. I love you too, Living for Me. I love all you guys. And I'm going to tell you something. There was someone that painted a picture of me, and I said I wasn't even going to touch about this on my page, that was so untrue. It was such a lie that it bothered me. But when you know who you are, because I know who let me take my glasses off. I know who I am. I know whose I am. I know who I belong to, and I know what I do and what I don't do. I don't take kindly to people who lie on me. Don't take kindly to it. And I'm like kind of like Cardi B. If we ever have beef, we're gonna have beef forever. I do forgive some people, but baby, this will never be forgotten or forgiven because you kept lying and you kept lying and you still lying. And I've been putting God on that lie. Trust me, every single night I've been putting God on that lie. What I didn't put God on, I've been putting other folks on. All right. I don't take harassment very easily because I ain't the one to harass. I live in a state that is open carry. I live in a state where it used to be on the back of the people's pickup in the window was what? Some pow-pows. So we don't take kindly to people playing with us around here. I come from a big family. I ain't got to make but one phone call. That's not a threat because I don't threaten nobody. I make promises. If you ever think you're going to pull up in this yard and you're going to say something crazy here, ain't got to make but one phone call. First, you got to talk to that big man, that 6'4" man outside in that backyard listening to his music. First, you got to talk to him. And then you want to talk to some more folks that look just like me. So, any way this go. Again, I said I wasn't going to address this because it was all a lie. And my mama, one thing she taught me was you never track down a lie. And I'm not going to track it down, but I'm not going to let someone keep lying on me. I'm not going to do that. All right. I love you guys. And I hope you have a great night. Butterfly, there's nothing to be in the loop about or out. I promise you, there's nothing to be in the loop about. I'm just making some statements. Clearing some air. That's it, honey. I don't need you to be over people talking about they taking screenshots of me. I don't care what you take a screenshot of. I don't care how many background checks. My fingerprints are on file with the FBI and the federal government. You think I care what you do? I do not. Literally don't care. Don't care. I'm probably one of the squarest people you'll ever meet in life, like the squarest. All my friends tell me, girl, you so square, but I keep a level head. I try to keep a level head until you make me mad. But don't lie on me. That's one thing I don't want you to do. Don't lie on me. And we can all get along over here in this internet space. Because don't none of us own the internet. We just pay a monthly fee to be able to tap our lives. All right. All right. Butterfly says she's going live right after this. So I'm fixed to get off the line. I hope you guys have a great night again. And keep me in your prayers. And you pray for me and I pray for you. And if no one told you today, that they love you, I love you. I mean that. I love you. Even if we don't agree and I could dislike you, I can still love you because I can't get to heaven by hating on you. So I love you and there ain't a thing you can do about it. Y'all have a great night. Bye-bye.